So I was going to make a cart for it, but McIntyre assured me that he would always have lots of able young hands to help him carry this stuff around.
Seriously?
Yes. There's one other person doing it.
I actually haven't reviewed the presentation, so I don't. So
Is this
that's
Necro?
right.
Yeah. Boy, I'm gonna make algorithms for this stuff.
All right.
Oh, that's right.
So are you ready? The name of the game is called Go For It. And if you've been able to tell from the game hints, it may have similarities to games you may have seen in a smaller scale somewhere in your youth.
My youth.
Still play this game.
Yeah. We can bring it in and put it together, but I was unable to do it. Okay, the field of play for this coming year looks kind of like as is shown. This is the top view of the field. There is a large goal structure on the field. It will be exactly the thing you see here, bolted together. We made it come into two pieces to make it a little easier to transport because it is a monument. It is again a 2 versus 2 alliance game. We're playing red versus blue for 2 minutes of tele-operated play.
It'll probably be painted some neutral color, black or gray or something, or the color of the
I
structure.
want it to be black, Mike.
You like black?
I like black. So there are a couple different ways to score and go for it. So the game is played, as you can tell from the top view, with balls. There are balls on the field, 10-inch diameter kick balls, like what Mike has. Only got one hand with the mic. 10-inch diameter playground kick balls, similar to what we've used in OCCRA many times. They are bouncy, they are rolly, and they are lots of fun. So, the field in kind of ISO view looks like this. There are two main structures on the field. There is a goal on the field, which contains a total of 42 scoring cells. Balls can be scored in two different ways. You can put up to 5 balls in a vertical column in each of the 7 columns, and the lowest ball in each column can be scored only from the bottom. There is a divider, so the second ball is loaded from the top, but the first ball is loaded from the bottom. There is also on the field, robots will start on one end of the field right next to their driver station. The driver station is on the end of the field. The human players are on the opposite side of the field, diagonally opposed from the starting position of their robots and from their drivers.
And the human player station wraps around, so that 4-foot restriction zone on the end, that's like a loading zone, so it wraps around. So you have right there, that wraps around. The other view had the wraparound view on it. The past view, yeah, that one has a wraparound. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's kind of an open conduit here. There's a total of 6 balls of each color on the field. There are a total of, 24 balls of each color?
There's a grand total of 24 of each color, so if you got 6 on the field of each color, then what's that, 18?
18 in the human players. So, the object of the game is real simple. You are trying to score balls into this structure. This is pretty much exactly 6 feet high to this bar, and the balls can load in from the top or from the bottom. You get 1 point for each ball that you put into the structure, which is completely scored, and you get 2 points for each row, column, or diagonal of 4, like this.
That's a bonus now.
So you get points for each ball, and you get points for rows, columns, or diagonals of 4, which are created.
So if you've ever seen the name of the game called Connect 4, basically it's just robots playing Connect 4, kind of, right? That's what it is. 4 in a row. Horizontal, vertical, diagonal, we don't care how it is. 4 in a row gets you 2 extra bonus points.
So the field is fairly open. There's really only 2 things on the field. We have not talked about the second thing. The second thing on the field is this large tower, which is disassembled in the back of my van, but we did not bring it in to assemble it in here. There's a pipe scaffolding on the human player end of the field. At the end of the match, you can hang from this structure. So the bars here are 6 feet off the ground. So this goal is 6 feet high. This is 6 feet high.
The top bars up there, which really weren't put there for hanging purposes.
Important to note, this is not a hanging bar. That's a hanging bar.
Those are hanging bars.
So you get a bonus 2 for being off the ground. 4
2 for being off the ground at all. 4 if the entire robot is at least 18 inches off the ground.
That's right.
No, it's 2 and 4.
So the object of the game is really simple. Score the most points by putting balls into the goals of the correct color, scoring balls and rows, columns, and diagonals, and hanging off the floor at the end of the match. Scoring will occur at the end of the match. The alliance with the most points wins and claims the 10-point bonus. Scores are a total of all hang points and all ball points, plus penalties and bonuses. This is the scoring schedule, so each ball, again, worth 1 point. 4 consecutive alliance balls in a goal, column, row, or diagonal is worth 2. A low hang, meaning just being off the surface of the arena, is worth 2. And a high hang, which is 18 inches in the air, completely robot above 18 inches, is worth.
Now, we don't want robots. You're a robot now. You're a robot. There's a goal. Shoot at it. Make the shot. Shoot.
Go, Haley. Air ball.
Our concern here was that the drivers are right next to the goal. We don't want robots taking shots across the whole court, bouncing off the top, and then hitting drivers in the face. So we have a restriction on the shooting. You can't shoot if you want to, although you see it's pretty hard. Take a shot, Calvin. It's not an easy shot.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small opening, and the balls are very, very bouncy. So we're thinking that you can shoot if you want to, as long as you're within the half court. Across the midfield line, your robot is allowed to take a shot. It's a very low percentage shot, but you're allowed. We still want these real long shots coming from all the way across the field that might end up smacking people in the face. Even from that short of a distance, it's tough to make the shot, though. So this is probably not going to be a big shooting game. We'll see. Oh, look, he made one. 1 out of 4. That ain't bad, right?
So maybe hard to do with a robot. But again, like anything else, it's an interactive game. We don't expect you to have a giant nightmare wheel on there like BattleBots, but vigorous interaction is expected and encouraged. There's offense and defense, but as general, the referees, myself being the head referee, we will make the final call, and decisions are final. We encourage you to try to rise to the challenge of the game. We design a game every year, and we want you to try to play the game while we recognize that defense is always part of any strategy. Solely defensive strategies, we will tend to give deference to the offense in most of the way that we administrate the refereeing of the game. Right? High-speed ramming is not allowed. However, your robot needs to be robust enough to handle contact. Again, there's no bumpers in this sport of OCCRA, unlike FIRST. So you get some good hard metal-on-metal contact, and you need to build your chassis in the lower parts of your robot accordingly. Also, this year, again, it's a 6-foot reach to be put. If you're going to reach up over this, again, you might be able to toss the ball and make a shorter robot, but if you aspire to reach up high, this is higher than some of the games that we've done recently, and pay particular attention to your center of gravity while elevated, and some of those concerns to stay on your wheels.
Now, we're aware that this is a very big structure, and most of you probably won't want to make it. But just in case somebody does, Jim has generously provided the woodcut structure. It's in the rules. If you decide you want to build this structure, you don't really need to, though. I mean, to get a robot trained, you just got to get a robot that can get a ball that high. So you could just build something that could get a ball that high, and you'd probably be successful. Or score that low if you'd rather score down low. But that's your design solution.
Yeah. So in order to score high, you basically just have to be able to put a ball above a bar, 6 feet in the air. At the bottom, you need to get a ball above about a 5-inch curve to be put into a hole. Okay? All the openings are 11 inches wide. The balls are nominally 10 inches wide, so they should go in freely in all cases, and we will police inflation of the balls to make sure that they always do. Let's see, restricted zone and safety. Again, there's a 4-foot by 20-foot area on the human player end of the field. We've done this for many years. We want to make sure that our human players are safe and can safely interact with them. The robots must be within this zone to be loaded with a ball from their human player. And again, one of the main things the refs will do is police interaction in that zone, and whether a defensive interaction is putting the robots at risk, that could be a penalty for the aggressor.
Okay, folks, we wanted a game that would make you think on your feet. The drivers, the coaches, they're going to have to be thinking all the time. I hope everybody can see where the next ball should go, right? You all see where the next ball should go? I hope you can. If not, you probably shouldn't be on the drive team. All right. Blue doesn't just have the 4 points, they now have 6 points. They picked up the 2-point bonus right. So where the balls are during the match may influence where the next ball gets placed. And so we want students and the drive coaches, the drivers, and the human players all thinking about what they should do. Did you talk the limit about how many balls storage?
Each robot is allowed to carry up to 2 balls at the same time.
Maximum of 2.
Robots start with 1 match preload ball, can carry up to 2 balls at a time. Carry or control. Again, relating to some of the rules, robots can only be loaded from the human player if they're within the loading zone, and robots may only shoot on the goal when they're in the same half of the field. So you can't sit in front of your human player and just alley-oop all the balls at the goal. You have to drive past the midpoint line, carrying your balls in order to be able to attempt to score. No ramming of robots in the restricted zone, which is the human player zone. Again, we will call that like we see it. Gracious professionalism. This is a first term, but it means act at all times in a way that your grandmothers would be proud, and we always have a long tradition of that here in OCCRA. And always remember that we represent our schools, and you're a guest in someone else's building. Okay, pinning. We have a 3-second rule on pinning. This is traditional with what we've done. If you pin somebody, pinning them against the goal, against the tower, against the field barrier, if warned by the referees, you must back up at least 3 feet away to allow the other robot to exit.
The year does not go by where I don't have students running up screaming at me saying, they're pinning us, why aren't the refs calling it? The robot is simply keeping you from going across the field. They're blocking you. Blocking and pinning are not the same thing. Pinning means you don't have an escape. If you've got an escape, if you can turn and go the other way, you're not pinned, okay? I say it now, and I'll probably be saying it again 5 or 6 times during the season to students who are a little agitated about. Hopefully we cleared up that right now.
Okay. Again, entangling and latching is traditional. You're not allowed to latch onto the other robots. If you get entangled in another robot, it's a potential penalty if they cannot get away. Violations will be assessed, and it's a 3-point penalty for any of these pinning or other violations that we have within the rules. So know the rules. The game itself is conceptually pretty simple. Get the balls, put them in the goal, hang at the end. Robots may not attempt to block an opponent from putting balls into the goal by blocking the opening deliberately or creating a tent or other type of structure to block the goals. You can...
Also, you cannot block the space.
Yes, you can't go within the goal and deliberately impede the space. You can't just put your arm up over the goal and try to keep them from scoring. There will be incidents in which two robots of opposing colors, I'm sure, will be going for the same cell strategically. If we view that both of them are in the act of scoring, that's legitimate up until the point where we feel it's not.
So we're both going up to score. So we're both going up to score at the same time to the same spot, and we're fighting over it. It's fine until one person drops it, and let's say I get my red one in there first. Now I can't stay there to try to keep blocking this. I have to back away, and then they can score.
Or if we just feel like you're not trying to score and holding a ball as a goaltender. So, again, goaltending is one of the things we're going to watch. We want an open game where people are attempting to score and aggressively trying to play the game as designed. You're not allowed to insert your robot down into the bottom to block the lower cells. You're not allowed to deliberately insert into any of these columns to try to block them. Each column will only hold 5 balls above the divider. If a 6th ball gets in there or on top, it doesn't count. Only 5 will be counted in each column, even if one is partially deflated.
Only 5? When you talk about in this region here,
Yeah.
there could be a...
Yeah, the bottom ones are only allowed to hold 1. The uppers are allowed to hold up to 5 each. match. Total of 42 scoring opportunities in the entire goal structure.
Basically, any ball up here is not going to count.
Yeah. If a ball is stuck at the top at the end of the match, how would it be stuck? I did not police inflation on all of these. I did 3 of them, I think, and the rest of them I just randomly blew up.
There's one blue one.
One blue one is oversized. Okay. Again, we'll police that in gameplay. If they are stuck and somehow inadvertently suspended in here like this, I don't, if that's possible. If there are none below it, it will count. If we feel it's stuck and gravity would have allowed it to go down. Again, we'll try to maintain playing piece quality. Red and blue flags. Again, we'll have flags for penalties that the referees have, which we will waive to indicate the offense.
This was a request, by the way, of people on the feedback forums. They wanted to have some warning when they were doing a foul, so the referees will attempt to give you a warning. They'll show, like if you're the red team and you're doing something, to give a little red flag warning. If you keep doing it after a couple seconds, bam, then they'll call the penalty. In other words, they're not going to just have a hair trigger call a penalty, probably. Unless it's like a high-speed ramming situation where the thing only lasts for a microsecond. Other than that, though, if there's some occurrence that they don't want you doing, they will try to give you some warning, but after a couple seconds, if you're still doing it, there will be a penalty call.
We will try to talk to you. If we award penalties, we try to talk to the individual students and drivers who are related to it, because sometimes it's done unawares, and we try to help educate so that it doesn't happen again. Usually our biggest penalty risks are human players. Human players don't lean into the field, don't stick your head in the field.
That's the next slide, I think.
Again, we try not to be, again, too meticulous about policing essentially a plain boundary, but we're there for your safety. We don't want you reaching into the field to take unfair advantage or to put yourself at risk. Well, you can't throw the ball to your robot. It has to be the robot that you're passing to has to be within the 4-foot loading zone at your end.
Let me give a specific application of this. A human player cannot pick up their team's balls and toss them down the field all the way out of bounds on purpose. And don't come up to us and say, oh, but that's not, we're not in restricted zone. No, leaving the field is out of the restricted zone too. Some people might think about doing that in order to get their balls downfield. Don't do that. Don't throw balls. If balls get thrown intentionally out, there'll be a penalty called and the balls will be returned to your player bins.
Okay, so that's all that we have in our presentation for the rules. Again, we've been thinking about this since May or June. So we may have skipped some details that you guys need filled in. So we'll open the floor up to questions if you guys have